You have 5 seconds to get off my property before I call the cops. That was the first and last time I ever spoke to her. The HOA Karen. The woman who thought her little plastic badge gave her the right to march onto my land, snap photos of my backyard, and demand I tear down my new fence. But here's the thing, she was trespassing. And I made sure she never did it again. Let me back up. I bought my house 6 months ago. A cozy little place tucked at the end of a cul-de-sac with a big backyard perfect for my 2 dogs and the vegetable garden I'd always dreamed of. It wasn't extravagant. It was real. Mine. Something I could build a life in. The neighborhood was nice enough. Well-manicured lawns, quiet streets, kids riding bikes in the evening, and retirees waving at you from their porches. It felt like a Norman Rockwell painting. At first, there was just one problem, the homeowners association. Now, I'd heard horror stories about HOAs. Power-hungry board members. Insane fines. Endless nitpicking over lawn length, mailbox colors, garage door styles. But I figured, how bad could it really be? Famous last words. The first couple of months were fine. I met a few neighbors, kept to myself, walked the dogs, tended the garden. Then came the fence. I'd saved for months to have it built. An 8-foot cedar privacy fence, stained a deep walnut brown to match the trim of the house. It looked great. It gave the dogs room to run. It gave me peace of mind. Then the letter came. Your fence is not HOA approved. Please remove or modify it within 14 days or face fines. I stared at the paper, rereading it several times. The fence was brand new. Well within city code. And, in fact, other houses on the next street over had almost the exact same style. But according to the HOA, mine was the wrong shade of brown. Not beige. Not taupe. Not whatever soulless color they deemed acceptable. First, I laughed. Thought it was a joke. I ignored it. Big mistake. It was a Saturday morning, early summer. I was sitting on my porch with a cup of coffee, the dogs lounging at my feet, sun filtering through the maple trees. Peaceful. Until I saw her. She came strutting up my driveway like she owned the pavement. Mid-50s. Immaculately styled blonde bob. Oversized sunglasses. Clipboard in one hand, phone in the other. She had the kind of smile that never reached her eyes, the kind that promised trouble. Karen. Without so much as a hello, she walked around the side of my house and into the backyard. I blinked, stunned. Was this woman actually just walking onto my property? I followed. She was already snapping pictures of the fence, angling her phone like she was documenting a crime scene. Me. Can I help you, Karen? Without looking up. HOA compliance inspection. Your fence violates Section 12, Paragraph 4 of the neighborhood bylaws. I crossed my arms. Did you just walk onto my property without permission? She glanced at me, unconcerned. I'm with the HOA. I don't need permission. Oh, she was dead wrong. I clenched my jaw. You absolutely need permission. This is private property. She smirked. If you're non-compliant, the HOA reserves the right to inspect. Nope. No law, no bylaw, no covenant gives the HOA the right to trespass. They can send notices. Impose fines, sure. But come onto my land uninvited? Not a chance. I pulled out my phone and hit record. Ma'am, you are currently trespassing on private property. You have 5 seconds to leave or I'm calling the police. Her face twisted, first in confusion, then in offense. You can't talk to me like that. I'm on the board. 4, 3, 2. She turned on her heel and stormed off, but not before shrieking over her shoulder. You'll be hearing from our lawyer. Good. Let them call. I had plans. I spent the rest of the weekend doing research. I pored over the HOA bylaws, city ordinances, zoning codes. I made phone calls. Talked to a lawyer friend. Here's what I found. HOAs are limited in their authority. They can enforce covenants and levy fines. But they cannot trespass. They are not government entities. They're glorified neighborhood clubs with a budget. My fence was within city code. 8 feet tall, professionally installed in the backyard. No permit violations. The HOA's color requirement wasn't even enforceable. There was vague language about harmonious tones, but no specific palette was listed anywhere. Wrong shade of brown was their opinion, not a binding rule. Trespassing is a criminal offense. I had every right to file a police report if Karen or anyone else came onto my property uninvited. Armed with facts and a growing sense of righteous fury, I decided this wasn't just about a fence anymore. This was about principle. Karen wanted a war? She'd get one. Step 1. No trespassing signs. Big ones. Bold red and white. I posted them at every entrance, driveway, side gate, backyard fence. Completely legal. Clearly visible. Step 2. Security cameras. I installed 4 high-definition, motion-activated cameras with night vision. 2 facing the front. 2 covering the backyard and side gates. Every movement recorded and backed up to the cloud. Step 3. Motion sensor sprinklers. This was my favorite. I positioned 2 discrete, motion-triggered sprinklers by the gate and fence line. Anyone trying to snoop around would get an icy surprise. It was technically just landscaping maintenance. The HOA couldn't say a word. Step 4. Legal prep. I drafted a cease and desist letter. Had my lawyer friend look it over. Airtight. It outlined the trespassing, the legal boundaries of HOA inspections, and made it very clear that any further unauthorized entry would result in police involvement. By the end of the week, my house was a fortress. Not just secure. Untouchable. A week later, it happened. It was early evening. I was inside watching TV when the motion alert pinged my phone. I opened the app and grinned. There she was, Karen, trying to sneak around the side yard. Phone in hand again, ready to capture another violation. She didn't see the sprinkler head. Piseschick. Cold water shot out with military precision, soaking her from head to heels. She screamed, dropped her clipboard, slipped on the grass, and ran back to her car, drenched and furious. I watched the footage on loop for days. She didn't even make it to the gate. The next day, I received a formal notice from the HOA. Again, it demanded the removal of the fence and accused me of intimidating a board member. I responded with my cease and desist letter and enclosed a copy of the trespassing laws. I included stills from the security footage and let them know all future contact would be handled through my attorney. Then, I posted the footage anonymously to a private neighborhood Facebook group. The comments exploded. Turns out I wasn't the only one Karen had targeted. She'd harassed new homeowners. Nitpicked flower beds. Fined a single mother for having a blue garden gnome. She wasn't a rule enforcer. She was a bully. One by one, people started to speak out. Stories surfaced. Formal complaints were filed. An emergency HOA meeting was called. Karen didn't show. Weeks passed. The letters stopped. No more compliance notices. No surprise inspections. No HOA reps in sight. I heard from a neighbor that Karen had quietly resigned from the board. Personal reasons, they said. Likely trying to avoid a lawsuit. The HOA toned down their enforcement, too. A revised handbook was circulated, less vague, more reasonable. Fewer rules. More clarity. And my fence? Still standing. Still walnut brown. Still perfectly defiant. I added a wind chime to it just for flair. I'm not anti-community. I get that HOAs can serve a purpose. But there's a difference between keeping a neighborhood tidy and trying to rule it with an iron clipboard. Karen forgot that. She thought her title made her invincible. That homeowners like me would just roll over when threatened. She counted on silence and fear. She didn't count on someone fighting back. Moral of the story: know your rights. Read the fine print. Stand your ground. HOAs have power, but they don't own you. And if someone tries to bully their way onto your property, make sure they regret it.